The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. You're listening to Hitman, Hitman, Hakeem, in the morning, afternoon, and night, because you never know when I'm going to make an appearance. Could be morning, afternoon, or night, or any of those in betweens. Presented by Hakeem Ali Bokus Alexander, here on Spreaker, Social Podcasting, and Wisdom, Social Audio Inc., presented for UniquilibriuM and World Reading Club in association with UniquilibriuM. This edition's reading focus comes to us from various sources, including The Demon Tarot by Ariana Osborne, Angel Tarot by Travis McHenry, Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams, The Tarot, a collection of secret wisdom from Tarot's mystical origins, The Angel Numbers book by Mystic Mihaela, The Book of Runes by Ralph H. Bloom, and Numerology for Beginners by Jerry Bauer. There may be more. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. So there may be some uncertainty in life about whether, if you're single, or if you're in a new relationship, or if you've been in a relationship for some time, maybe a month or more, a few years, but for some reason there's uncertainty. Well, I can't say that looking at different divination tools like tarot and numerology and Viking runes are necessarily going to make you feel any better. But some of the things you hear might be some insight and inspiration, and might even have tips that you may not have heard before as a way to proceed. You know, sometimes there are things that you hear that might come to you as advice in the same way that a counselor of some kind would. You could consider this to be a clinical hypnosis session in which you're allowing the suggestions to become part of your new understanding so that you have new options from which to act from. And that's what these can serve as when we're looking at these different divination tools. I'm going to start with the Viking runes. And the Viking runes are going to set the stage for how all of the spreads are going to go for the tarot. We'll also be working with angel numbers and numerology. So the numerology, I'm actually going to give a general overview of the day, of the date, of the 24 hours of May 23rd, 2023. And the simple way to calculate that number is to just simply look. It would be as if someone was born on this day. You would find their destiny number. So this is the general and overall vibration at which all of this reading may fall under, and we'll see. May being the 5th month, you can use a 5 to start with as your first number to add. Then you're going to add 5 plus 23, and you can add those separately. 5 plus 23 is going to be 28, 2 and 8 is a 10, and then you reduce it one more time. 10 is 1 and 0, which is 1. And then 2023 has 3 numbers you can add. You can add 2 plus 2, which is 4 plus 3, which is 7. That's for 2023. So what we have here for May 23rd, 2023 to open the general vibration of this reading. Welcome Craig, Dalan, and Sahi. What we're going to do is just use the date of today, which is May 23rd, 2023. And the numbers we get are 1 and a 7, and so that 5 plus 23 is a 28. 2 and 8 together is 10, and then we reduce it further to a single digit where 10 is 1 and 0, which is 1. That's for 523 or May 23rd. 2023 is 2 plus 2 plus 3. And 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. And it really doesn't matter what order you add it up. You could add 20 plus 23, and you'd get 43, and 43 would still be a 7. You could add 202 plus 3, and you'd get 205, and the 2 plus 5 would still be 7. So the commutative law of addition here is fabulous in that no matter what order you decide to add these numbers, you're going to get the same thing. Welcome Professor X, aka Wandering Fool, aka Cicely Marie Goose. So you can add them in any way that you want to, and you'll still get the same sum. And so the overall general vibration of today is the 1 that we get from 523 being a 28, 10, and a 1, plus 7, which is 2023, 2 and 2 and 3 is 7, which is an 8. So the overall vibration of today is 8, which is very, very nice here. And I like that, and that means that this is going to be prosperous for us all. Because 8, according to Numerology for Beginners by Jerry Bauer, holds the expression of power, money, and fame. And I'm going to read what a number 8 individual day is, because that's the overall vibration, albeit a very light one, for the entire world under this date. This is a collective unconscious business, because we humans are the ones who've decided what these numerals mean and have agreed. As a matter of fact, there are places in the world right now that are in the 24th of May. So they would be in a numeral 9 day, but we're going to go with the 8 here for this reading because that's where I am, centered on the East Coast of the United States, Eastern Daylight Time or Eastern Standard Time. And that's what we're going to use. Welcome Anthony Thomas. So here it is for May 23rd, 2023 to open up this issue, which is the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. Now this doesn't matter if you are single, if you are in a new relationship, or if you are in a relationship that's been a little bit longer, or even one that's established. If you have any uncertainty of any kind, it's not that this reading is going to give you any more certainty. That is up to you to decide whether you want to hold on to or use any of this. But the information that you will hear can serve as you would if you were reading a book yourself about relationships. You will hear tips, you will hear suggestions, and you will hear things in this reading here that might be some best practices for you to implement in your current relationship or to go after a relationship that you want. So remember, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. And I've worded that very specifically because you want to connect with somebody. Whether you're in a relationship or not, you still need to connect with them. The next part there is that they should be compatible, right? And that it's love, right? Romance, and life, meaning it would be something that is long-term or until you die, death do you part. A partner, right? Someone that you enjoy and do things in this love life with, and to unite and bond with, right? Interestingly enough, the uniting and bonding all are parts of what the words religion should be. Religion is the words re, which means again, and legare, which means to unite or bond. And so that means to bond or unite again. And so here we are. You can look at this in any way that you want and take the information as it is, even simply for entertainment. So here is May 23rd, 2023 is a number 8 day. And it says, do not waste a single minute of this day of material success. Awaken to a day of all good things and get at it with a wonderful attitude of positivity, for this can be the one most financially successful days of your cycle. The number 8 revolves around business and financial matters and bodes well for them if you put your best efforts into them. Determination and newfound energy will be bestowed upon you to give you the power to do so. If you have been working hard on a project, this could well be the day to start accumulating the wealth you have been hoping for. Expend all your energies toward improving your finances, even if it means spending the day with an employer in order to secure either a salary increase or promotion. Seek out opportunities and grasp at any offers that come your way. Make a point of seeing people who can help you, and don't hesitate to ask for that position you want. Ask with confidence and courage, and you are bound to either get it now or at least pave the way for it in the near future. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Give your affairs serious thought and see if you have not perhaps been overlooking certain possibilities to either make more money or make what you do have go further. Rearrange the affairs that have not proved successful and start putting those funds into something else that can bring you more profit. Investments would be well favored today, as well as making or taking out a loan if it is to be used to further your success. In all your dealings, you will have to exercise tact, diplomacy, and consideration so you don't step on toes, which could make matters go against you. Dealing with charities would also be a good idea, for the power of the 8 also revolves around helping others, even if it is only kind advice that will enable someone to better help themselves. Put some time into helping with the affairs of charitable groups if you cannot contribute to its coffers. Intuition will be heightened today, so rely on it to give you the right direction in all you do, especially concentrating on money or business matters. This sounds mercenary, but it really is not. One must take advantage of the right time for everything, as destiny, too, has been pre-scheduled. So you are merely following instructions from a higher and more omniscient power. Now, here we go. Time for loved ones and time to make the most of your appearance must be found today. Fuss more than usual over both. Should you be visiting someone you care for, a good time to do so. Bring some thoughtful little gift to show your affection. Now you might ask what all this stuff about money and prosperity and wealth might have to do with a loved one. Well, I can simply answer that by saying that psychologists and marriage counselors and marriage and family therapists all over the United States very often talk about that the 3 things that couples have issues with are communication, money, and sex. So we have 2 of them addressed here. We have the money and the love part, which not necessarily has to do with sex, but it's saying here, time for loved ones and time to make the most of your appearance must be found today. Fuss more than usual over both. Should you be visiting someone you care for, a good time to do so. Bring some thoughtful little gift to show your affection. Now, it has occurred to me over time, welcome pretty babe, and something that I've been working towards, to figure out some of the things about why it is that someone at any given time who doesn't know anything about numerology, astrology, or any of these occult sciences or tarot can still have all these different kind of financial successes and things day after day after day after day, even if it is not in their vibrational frequency for that day. Well, there's a few simple answers. One, because of what I just did, which is I simply added up the date of today, May 23rd, 2023, and that would be the destiny of someone who's born on this date. They would have an 8 vibration, but also it's the vibration of this date in general. And also it must be kept in mind that there's a lot more to numerology than just the date of birth. Everyone has a numerical vibration attached to their name. Like, for example, my name starts with the letter H, and H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, for example. And so we have different vibrational frequencies that are in our names as well. And there are also different energies that go on with what personal year vibration you're in, what personal month vibration you're in, and what personal day vibration you're under. And there are all these different influences that you can decide to connect with and ride the flow of that energy. And so you have lots of different influences that you can tap into in order to drive and help support the course of your day. It doesn't mean that you can't change your stars. It just means that you might be able to connect in with and be able to download much more easily certain types of information having to do with certain types of things under certain vibrations. And it just so happens that today, May 23rd, 2023, falls under the vibration of an 8. We can also look at something else about the day number 8, right? So this is the energies you can tap into on the 8th. Material and financial matters are where you can shine today. Therefore, you should always do well in this area. Fame and fortune fall under the vibration of 8, and this number always produces these. Unusual strength and power are necessary to manage affairs of this nature, and you have been richly endowed with both today. The number 8 brings with it the responsibility of helping others less fortunate in this area, and with that effort you seem to manage most and that effort you seem to manage most of the time. Whatever is gained, and that's for today, right? The overall energy, if you decide to tap into the 8. Whatever is gained and not shared under this influence will be taken away again. You have the understanding and sympathy for others that will help you to enjoy and appreciate whatever material assets you acquire. People rely on you for help today, and it is given in good spirits today. With you at the helm, any relationship or business will be steered clear of the shoals of poverty today if you decide to tap into that energy of May 23rd, 2023. Now again, the issue is connecting with a compatible love-life partner to unite and bond with. I've already said that one of the pillars of relationships that is talked about by marriage and family therapists, psychologists, and others is that the 3 things that couples have issues with are communication, sex, and money. These are the things that must be attended to according to these people, or the relationship tends to have issues. And I've seen that as being something very true. But it's interesting that it's especially the communication part, and very often people do not communicate about their sex life and their money properly, and this is what causes the problems most of the time. But we'll have various different tools that we're going to use, starting next with the Viking runes. And I have the Book of Runes by Ralph H. Bloom. I also have Angel Tarot by Travis McHenry, Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams, and the Demon Tarot by Ariana Osborne. I also have the Tarot, a collection of secret wisdom from Tarot's mystical origins, and the Angel Numbers book. So I'm leaving no book unopened, no stone unturned. So it's with these things that I'm going to proceed now. So we're going to go to the Viking runes. Now remember, the issue is connecting with a compatible love-life partner to unite and bond with. So you can see the title here on Spreaker, Social Podcasting and Wisdom, Social Audio Inc. And you've heard me say it enough times. You can write it down. I'll say it again for those who are not able to see the title. The issue is connecting with a compatible love-life partner to unite and bond with. Once again, the issue is connecting with a love-life partner to unite and bond with. And it is this thought that we will proceed with as I lay out the Viking runes. This is going to be an extensive reading, something that I have not done before specifically on this issue. So I'm going to handle my Viking runes right now as I continue to talk, to put the words, the spell, to influence these rune stones. The issue is connecting with a compatible love-life partner to unite and bond with. And now here's the run of show. Here's the order that I'm going to do the spreads in. The spreads are all going to be aligned with the Viking runes, meaning that the first out of the 5 rune spread and the card spreads will represent this. The number 1 is the overview of the situation. The number 1 in the spread is the overview of the situation. And if you want to make this your master class, This can be one of the simplest things that you use as a 5-rune, 5-card spread to practice your runimal or tarot. You can spread them all out like this, and if you ask the questions or present the issues in this way, you'll get a nice complete reading. So number 1 is overview of the situation. 2 is challenge. Whatever rune or card you place in the number 2 position represents challenge. 3 represents course of action called for. Course of action called for is in the 3rd position. 4 is sacrifice, right? And it originally a bonding of 2 Latin words, sacrificium and facere, or facere. One of the core meanings of sacrifice is surrender to God, right? So it's intended as a recognition that life offers you choices, options that are often mutually exclusive. So the concept of sacrifice has over time, it's come to be associated primarily with pain and loss, but as applied to this spread, it refers to that which has to be peeled away, shed, or discarded, okay, in order for wholeness to emerge. So, and then the 5th position is the new situation evolving. Now, some of the ones are 1, 3, and 5 that might pop out to most people are number 1, the overview of the situation, number 3, course of action called for, and number 5, new situation evolving. Sometimes you can get a complete reading just with those. But one more time, number 1 is overview of the situation. Number 2, challenge. Number 3, course of action called for. And number 4, sacrifice. Number 5, new situation evolving. And that's how we're going to proceed, first with the Viking runes and then all the other cards. And then there's going to be a lot of stuff that can be pulled out here from the Viking runes that correspond with the Angel Numbers book. We'll get into that in just a moment. But number 1, here we're pulling the rune for the overview of the situation. 4, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to bond and unite with. And I'm putting this rune down. I'm not looking at it yet. I'm still digging into the bag now. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. Unite and bond with. So the first one was the overview of the situation. Here's number 2, which is challenge. Number 3, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. There's 3. I'm going to do this 1, 2, 3. I'm going to spread them out all in the same way in a cross. Number 4. Number 4. Welcome to the room, Lois Hampson. Number 4. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. I'm going to repeat a lot of stuff, but this doesn't mean it can mean you're single or in a relationship that's new or even in a committed relationship. Connecting, right? The issue is connecting with them, with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with, whether you have one already or not, right? You might be in a compatible love life relationship, but you want to continue, but everything is good with strengthening that bond, right? That was 4 for the sacrifice I just placed down. And number 5, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. And finally, number 5, the new situation evolving. All right, I'm going to turn these over. I got 1, that's Berkana. Number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. I see a few of them that are upside down and reversed. And only one of them has no reversal. And that's the final one, interestingly enough, in the new situation evolving. Let's go ahead and start with the first one. And I'm going to write these down as I go along because these numbers are going to correspond with what we're going to read later at the end, along with some other numbers that we get, probably from the Angel Tarot cards, from the Angel Numbers book. So number 1 is in the reverse position, and it's Berkana, which is the 16th rune in the cycle of runes. So it's number 16, and it's on page 123. Those are 2 numbers we're going to look at for Berkana. Number 2 is Manas. Okay, and I should give you the English of these. Berkana, it means growth. Number 2 is Manas, which is the self, and that one's also reversed. And Manas is the first rune in the cycle of initiation, and it's on page 93. I think that all the numbers are significant, and again, once again, there's something that you're going to hear which is inspiration, which is going to create a spark, which is going to show you something that maybe you haven't thought of before, that you can use. Like I said, once again, these are like a proxy, like a counselor or a marriage and family therapist that you might hear some advice from, something that you haven't heard before. Number 3 is Ansas, Ansus, which is translated in English to signals. I'm sorry, that's actually not Ansus. They look very similar. It's Fehu, which is possessions, and that's the 11th rune, and it's on page 113. So that's the 11th rune on page 113. The next one here is Perth, which is initiation, and it's the 6th rune on page 103. So I have a 6 and a 103. And finally, in the new situation evolving, we have the only one that does not have any reversal and is interestingly in the final position, which is Hagalaz. And Hagalaz means disruption, page 129. It's the 19th rune on page 129. Okay, so let's begin with the literal reading of what these mean here in these positions. So the first one is the overview of the situation, and it's Berkana reversed on page 123. What can that tell us about the overview of the situation? Overview of the situation. Now remember, Berkana is growth, rebirth, and a birch tree. And it's reversed. And reversed, it tells us about the overview of the situation that events, or more likely aspects of character, interfere with the growth of new life. You may feel dismay at failing to take right action, but rather than dismay, what is called for here is diligence. Examine what has occurred, your role in it, your needs, the needs of other people. Are you placing your wants before the needs of others? Strip away until you can identify the obstacles to growth in this situation. Then, penetrating gently, imitate the wind. You may be required to cultivate the soil once again, yet, through correct preparation, growth is assured. So here, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. It's telling us here that certain aspects of character might interfere with growth of a new life. New life is always everything coming from in the next moment, the future. It's not always right now, but it's the result of what you're doing right now. Welcome, Coolio D. Jones and Lindsay May McKay. And so it says you might feel dismay at failing to take right action, right? That's also like sometimes you're feeling guilt or shame that you haven't been doing the right things. But it's saying, rather than dismay, what is called for here is diligence. It means get your shit together, right? Stop feeling sorry for yourself or feeling angry that you haven't been doing things the right way, and just figure out Start learning how to do it, right? Start thinking about what you're doing. Examine what has occurred, or the things that have occurred. Maybe something you said, your role in it, right? Your needs and the needs of other people. And then think about this. Are you placing your wants, what you want, before the needs of others? So you have to strip away until you can identify these obstacles of growth in the situation, right? The situation, the issue, connecting with your compatible love life partner, right? Then, penetrating gently, imitate the wind. I won't make any interpretations of that. Imitate the wind. You may be required to cultivate the soil once again, right? It means, in a way, starting over. Yet through correct preparation, growth is assured. So you're simply just retilling, re-preparing the ground, and planting seeds again, as you always have the opportunity to do so, no matter how late in the game you think you've come, no matter how late you feel, or how bad a situation you think it is, or how little of a chance you have, right? That is the overview of the situation. It's saying, hey, let's stop here and just restart again. Recultivate the soil. What am I doing? How wasn't I taking right action? Don't feel bad about it. Just start making the steps to correct it. All right. Now the challenge. The challenge we have in our second position is actually the first of the runes of the cycle of initiation, and it's manas, which means the self. So what is the challenge? The challenge is the self, and it's reversed. It's reversed. So let's see what that has. It's another one that's reversed. It's another one's reversed. This is the challenge. The challenge, and let's see what that means in the reverse. What's the self reversed here? How does that pertain to you, right? Manas is the self, but it's reversed. So this is your challenge. It's, if you feel blocked, Manas urges you to begin by being clear with yourself. Do not turn to others now, but look inside, in silence, for the enemy of your progress. No matter what area of your life is in disarray, stop and consider. You will recognize the outer enemy as but a reflection of what you have not, until now, been able or willing to recognize as coming from within. Above all, do not give yourself airs. Breaking the momentum of past habits is the challenge here. It's interesting, this says challenge here, and this is in the position of challenge. In the life of the Spirit, you are always at the beginning. Now, isn't this similar to what we just read? This is how these readings come out often. One thing just connects right to the next one, just so simply. We had Berkana reversed, and it talked about taking a step and not being dismayed by the things you may have done, right? And instead re-preparing the soil, starting again. And what is Manas telling us here about yourself? It's saying, look inside in silence for the enemy of your progress, right? No matter what area of your life is in disarray, right? In this case, where the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner, whether you have one now or not, right? You will recognize the outer enemy as but a reflection of what you have not until now been able or willing to recognize. So breaking through the momentum of past habits is the challenge here. And this is in the position of challenge, the number 2 position of challenge, right? So this is even more emphasized here. Just like in the angel numbers, like we have 11 in the room right now, right? It's whenever you see repetition, hello Lynette Hernandez and Jason B. Whenever you have repetition, it's a call from the vibrational beings, the energy, to say, pay attention. And we have repetition that this second Viking rune that is in a position of challenge, which I laid out before, as the first one being overview of the situation, 2 being challenged, 3 being course of action called for, 4 being sacrifice, and 5 being new situation evolving. And here we have very specifically this reading emphasizing the challenge. It says, breaking the momentum of past habits is a challenge. It couldn't be any more clear. In the position of challenge, and it's saying that breaking the momentum of past habits is a challenge here. That's very, very clear. So this should be taken as something that you write down. and take to heart and make a mantra and understand that breaking the momentum of past habits is the challenge here. It says it so clearly. It's in the position of challenge. In the life of the spirit, you are always at the beginning. But I must emphasize again how deeply this has to be penetrating into your mind, that in the position of challenge, in the five rune spread, it's saying that that breaking the momentum of past habits is the challenge. It's super clear, right? So keep that in mind. Breaking the momentum of past habits is the challenge here, and that's manas, the self. Moving on to the third position, which is the course of action called for. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's Fehu, which does have a reversal, but is not in the reverse position. It's upright here. And Fehu is possessions, nourishment, cattle. I think I'm already aware of what's going to happen here from that overall reading from the date in numerology, that May 23rd, 2023 came to an 8, which is power, money, and fame, but there's a lot more to it. If you were listening earlier, you would have heard that. But let's take a look at what this says. This is the course of action called for. And people get upset about this stuff because all spiritual people are always like, but the money, what does the money, possessions, blah, 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 have to do with it? Again, remember, communication, sex, money, 3 big things in all relationships that crumble relationships, according to the marriage family therapist and the psychologist and all kinds of other people. It's so well known now that it's part of pop psychology culture, right? So here's the course of action called for, the third rune, Fehu, possession, nourishment, cattle. Fehu is a rune of fulfillment, ambition satisfied, love shared, rewards received. It promises nourishment from the most worldly to the sacred and the divine. For if the ancient principle, as above, so below, holds true, then we are also here to nourish God. This rune calls for a deep probing of the meaning of profit and gain in your life. Look with care to know whether it is wealth and possessions you require for your well-being, or rather self-rule and the growth of a will. Another concern of Fehu is to conserve what has already been gained. This rune urges vigilance and continual mindfulness, especially in times of good fortune. For it is then that you are likely to collapse yourself into your success on the one hand, or behave recklessly on the other. Enjoy your good fortune, and remember to share it, for the mark of the well-nourished self is the ability and willingness to nourish others. I mean, let's just call it, welcome Jason B. and Cordero Gates. Let's just call it confirmation bias, if you will. And I'm just making connections here that are not. But I opened up with the numeral 8, which is the date of today, power, money, and fame, and read 2 different things about wealth accumulation, in which the end of the longer reading ended with your loved ones saying, hey, you know, this is a time to make fuss over your appearance, bring them a gift, right? Talking about sharing your abundance in whatever form you have it, right? So here we again have possessions, nourishment, and cattle corresponding, course of action called for. This is today, the numeral 8 day, the vibration that's all over the world in the background. It's waiting to be tapped into. And it's telling us that it's fulfillment, ambition satisfied, love shared, rewards received. So if you enjoy your good fortune, remember to share it. It says, for the mark of a well-nourished self is the ability and willingness to nourish others. So there's the course of action called for. It doesn't necessarily have to even be financial, material wealth, right? It asks you, it says, Look with care to know whether it is wealth and possessions you require for your well-being, or rather self-rule and the growth of a will, which is also a type of wealth. Self-rule and the growth of a will. So the course of action called for is to decide whether or not it's wealth and possessions you require for your well-being, or rather self-rule and the growth of will, and enjoy that good fortune, whatever form it comes in, and remember to share it, for the mark of the well-nourished self is the ability and willingness to nourish others. Moving on to the fourth position, which is sacrifice, right? Which also can mean surrender unto God, right? Surrender. It means to let the universe, let God, let the powers that be, the angels, let them download into you, let them guide you a little bit. And in that position of sacrifice is Perth. Perth is initiation. Ooh. Sacrifice through initiation. So what is it? What is it you have to submit to here, or to surrender, right? Initiation, something hidden, a secret matter, and it's in the upright position, not reversed, right? So here's the sacrifice. And I want to again repeat here so that we understand that people hear the word sacrifice and they go a little crazy, right? Sacrifice sounds like killing babies inside some, no, it's like, it's not, or lambs or whatever. No, that's not what we're talking about. Or you have to give up everything, right? It's, well, you might have to give up a bad attitude, sacrifice that. What's so wrong with that? Did you know that you could sacrifice a bad attitude in the same way that people in ancient times used to sacrifice lambs and people and all kinds of things, bugs, and burn all kinds of stuff like that? It has the same energy. It's an entity. Your bad habits, your rotten attitudes, the bad habits from the past are all entities that have just as much life and soul and blood as anything else. So you don't need to sacrifice living creatures. Sacrifice your bullshit and offer that to the gods, whatever ones you worship, right? Sacrificium and facere, right? Surrender. Surrender that stuff, give it up. Another way of sacrificing is transmuting it into something else. Welcome, Andrea. Right, so here's what we're talking about. Initiation, something hidden, a secret matter. A hieratic or mystery rune pointing to that which is beyond our frail manipulative powers. Perth is on the side of heaven, the unknowable, and has associations with the phoenix, that mystical bird which consumes itself in the fire and then rises from its own ashes. Its ways are secret and hidden. I mean, take a moment here to think about that. The phoenix is in itself a form of sacrifice, right? Here we are in the position of sacrifice. It burns and then rises from the ashes, and it comes out anew, right? Because it burned away all the dumb shit and comes back stronger. I mean, again, here we have another rune in a position just speaking to itself, just giving us more repetition, just telling us this is exactly where we're supposed to be. Powerful forces of change are at work here, yet what is achieved is not easily or readily shared. After all, becoming whole, the means of it, is a profound secret. On the side of the earthly or mundane, there may well be surprises, gains, or rewards that you did not anticipate. On the side of human nature, this rune is symbolized by the flight of the eagle, soaring flight, free from entanglement, lifting yourself above the endless ebb and flow of ordinary life to acquire broader vision. All this is indicated here. Another of the cycle runes, Perth, stands at the heart of initiation. Nothing external matters here, except as it shows you its inner reflection. This rune is concerned with the deepest stratum of your being, the bedrock on which your destiny is founded. For some, Perth means experiencing a death. If need be, let go of everything. No exceptions, no exclusions. Nothing less than the renewal of your spirit is at stake when you draw this rune. Especially when you draw this rune in the freaking sacrifice position. It couldn't be any more clear once again. Nothing external matters here, except as it shows you its inner reflection. Do you get that? Nothing external matters except as it shows you its inner reflection, meaning, are you seeing things on the outside of yourself that you know you were thinking and speaking and acting about? This rune is concerned with the deepest stratum of your being, the bedrock on which your destiny is founded. So listen to this. This is sacrifice right here, right at its very heart. Birth means experiencing a death. If need be, let go of everything. No exceptions, no exclusions. Nothing less than the renewal of your spirit is at stake when you draw this rune. Do you think that's a little bit much when the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with? I don't think so. As some of the other runes before that have counseled that you have to let go of the past habits, right? We've got a repetition here, a nice flow going over and over and over again. I'm going to come back to these in another live broadcast and summarize them, but this couldn't be any more clear how these things were falling right into place. How in the second position of sacrifice it talked about, it's clear and clear, I mean in the second position of challenge, that is, how it specifically used the word challenge, right? And how here now we're talking about the phoenix being born again, rising again in a death sacrifice. That's pretty clear once again. Finally, we have our last one, which is Hagalaz, right? Which is the disruption. And this final one is the new situation evolving. New situation evolving. Now what could this possibly be telling us in a new situation evolving? Nothing more than disruption. I mean, that makes sense to me. Here's Hagalaz, has no reversal, and it's disruption. Elemental power, hail. Change, freedom, invention, and liberation are all attributes of this rune. Remember, this is the new situation evolving. Change, freedom, invention, and liberation are all attributes of this rune. Drawing it indicates a pressing need within the psyche to break free from constricting identification with material reality and to experience the world of archetypal mind. The rune of elemental disruption of events that seem to be totally beyond your control. Hagalaz has only an upright position, and yet it always operates through reversal. You know, this shit is fucking interesting. Didn't I talk about how out of all the runes that were pulled, and this one is in the final position, it's the only one that doesn't have a reversal? Welcome to the room, John Bush. Hello. And it happens to be in the only one that it's in the final one of the new situation evolving. It's the only one of the runes that were pulled that do not have a reversal, and yet it's talking here about how Hagalaz has only an upright position, and yet it always operates through reversal. I mean, this is continuing. When you draw this rune, expect disruption, for it is the great awakener. Although the form the awakening takes may vary. Perhaps you will experience a gradual feeling of coming to your senses, as though you are emerging from a deep sleep. Then again, the onset of power may be such as to rip away the fabric of what you previously knew as your reality, your security, your understanding of yourself, your work, your relationships, or beliefs. Disruption takes many forms. A relationship fails. Plans go awry. A source of supply dries up. but do not be dismayed. Whether you created the disruption or whether it comes from an outside source, you are not without power in this situation. Your inner strength, the will you have funded until now in your life, provides support and guidance at a time when everything you've taken for granted is being challenged. Another of the cycle runes, the term radical discontinuity, best describes the action of Hagalaz at its most forceful. The more severe the disruption in your life, the more significant and timely the requirements for your growth. The universe and your own soul are demanding that you do indeed grow. Now, this thing about growth and shedding off the past and doing all this other stuff like this has been repeated over and over again by these 5 runes in this 5 rune spread that we have here. And so, again, the new situation evolving, disruption. Something. A relationship might fail, plans might go awry, a source of wealth or something that might dry up, but don't be dismayed. Whether it comes from the outside or whether it comes from you, you're not without power in the situation. Your inner strength, the will you have funded now in your life, provides support and guidance at a time when everything you've taken for granted is being challenged. So, think about this, the new situation evolving. This is what you might have to come across. The more severe the disruption in your life, the more significant and timely the requirements for your growth. The universe and your own soul are demanding that you do indeed grow. And remember, this disruption can be a failing relationship, some plans that go awry, or even the source of supply dries up. And these don't have to be extreme. You know, remember, what if it was somebody that you liked but you hadn't yet asked them out, and in the case that the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with, and they just moved out of town. That's not that big of a deal because you didn't even get to know them yet, right? And so on and so forth. There's different levels to this, right? But it could be something different, some plans that you had. Maybe you planned to go on a date today and that just didn't go the way you wanted to, or it got canceled. It's not that big of a deal. What if you lost your job, or you lost some money, or some other way, like didn't get to do a gig that you were doing? Don't be dismayed. But the more severe it is, right, that means the more significant and timely you need to grow. And that's what all of these have been telling us so far. So that's the Runimal, the Viking rune readings from the Book of Rune, Ralph H. Bloom. You take a moment to reset. I'll say hello to everyone who's been here or bounced to the room once again, and then we're going to move on to the next. And remember, they're all going to be in the same position. So, hello, Sahi, Wandering Fool, Pretty Babe, Lois Hampson, Smith James, Lindsay McKay, Craig Dolan, Coolio and D. Jones, Lynette Hernandez, Jason B., Cordero Gates, Andrea, John Bush, and Anthony Thomas. So let's see, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which tarot cards are we going to go? Hello, Mike Jackson. You're just in time for the second spread, which is beginning once again. We're using all these spreads to ask or to present the same issue. So it will be fascinating to see what comes out here and if there are any correlations between all of them. But I'm sure we'll find something. So just to appease some of those who might be scared by anything else, we'll go with the most gentle of the 3 tarot decks that I have. I already started off with numerology and talking about the vibration for today, May 23rd, 2023, which is 8, which held a vibration of power, money, and fame, which showed up all across that rune pulling that we did. And we'll discuss more about how you can tap into that. Welcome Topics with Mac. And we'll talk about how more that vibration has an influence on how you can tap into that, even though your particular personal day may not be aligning the same as the overall day for the entire planet that falls under this Gregorian calendar, that we've all fallen under this spell of the universal unconscious tapping into that. So we'll go with the least abrasive of them all, but maybe some of you are scared of angels, but we're going to go with the Angel Tarot first. And also, for the first time ever, I'm going to line them up with the same exact pattern as in the Viking runes, which is using the 5 rune spread and that information that it's going to tell us, which is in the first position, once again, it's the overview of the situation. In the second position, it's going to be challenge. I remember when we pulled the runes, it was interesting that was the only one that we read that said that specifically said your challenge here is, and used the word challenge. And the third position is going to be the course of action called for. The fourth position is sacrifice, which in some cases may mean surrender or just to give up some bullshit. And in number 5 is going to be the new situation evolving. These are the Angel Tarot cards. And they're going to lay out in the same way. I'm not following any of the suggestions that they say in the book, the companion book by Travis Spring Henry, because if any of you are initiated or understanding enough at the very least, you should know that that's not necessary. And that you can use a spread of any kind. This is a spread that I use as a universal one. Welcome Taylor Made and Martin John Garcia to the room. So you can put them in any way. They're going to give us the reading as we see fit. Now these are a little bit different. These are very much based from Cornelius Agrippa and the Kabbalah. And so these are angels that come from that. So it'll be fascinating to see what this has to say from this kind of direction, especially about this issue, which is the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. All right, so welcome, Truly Julie. All right, I'm almost done making a shuffle. I've been shuffling them. I shuffled them before, but now I'm going to do one more shuffle as I speak this title here, right? Because this is what I'm tapping into this energy of, which is the issue, as I shuffle it here, right? You got to read it. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with, and that can mean so many things. I made it general and specific at the same time because that's the genius of being downloaded. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. The issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. And remember, you can unite and connect and bond with somebody that you're already with. There's everything okay with bonding further and getting into more communication. Right, so here we go. You're just in time, Daryl with the dashes. We're starting at the beginning of this new spread here. So in the first position, which is the overview of the situation. Number 2, we have the challenge. Number 3, we have a course of action called for. Number 4, we have sacrifice. And number 5, we have new situation evolving. Let me turn these over here and see what we have in the first position. We have the angel, oh gosh. Ahaya. The overview of the situation. Number 2 is Yabamia, which is the challenge. Number 3 is Chalakaya in the course of action called for. Interesting. We have an archangel, Metatron, in the position of sacrifice, and in the new situation evolving, we have Aniel. All right, let's take a look here. So, what does this have to say? Okay, and now I'm going to have to do some cross-referencing too. And this I think I'm going to do at the end of the reading. Because all of these angel cards also have tarot correspondences as well as what the angels are standing for here. So this is going to be interesting. I didn't plan exactly how I was going to do this. I just decided to do it. All right. So in the first position, this actually corresponds with the Five of Pentacles. But let's see. Let's just take a look at this. Let's see if we can make some sense of this here, with the first position of being the overview of the situation is the angel, which I'm going to look and see about making sure I pronounce this name at least to what's suggested here, with is Ahaya. Ahaya. So Ahaya is the number 7 angel here, and it's the forbearing God. So the overview of the situation: patience, reveals secrets of nature, spreads knowledge and industry. Let's take a further look at what Ahaya has to say for us here. And I'm also going to write these numbers down. I think these are very important too, that the fact that it's angel number 7, and I'm also going to write down the page number we find it on. So we have 7, just like I did with the runes. I wrote down not only the rune order, its numerical order, but also the page number that was on, to reference later in the angel numbers book. This might be interesting to see if there are also any correspondences here. So this is number 7 and on page 38, because all is revealed in the numbers. It's just the master of the universe, no matter what. So Ahaya, the forbearing God. Ahaya is a seraphim. That's the hierarchies. Ahaya is a seraphim, and the corresponding psalm is Psalm 103:8. I think I need to write these numbers down too. Psalm 103:8. And that reads, "The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy." And remember, this angel is about patience. This is the overview of the situation. The overview of the situation. All right. I'm only going to look at one thing from here to keep this simplified, because there's a lot of stuff to read from this, but there's some main stuff to look at here. And this is what this is. Here's the overview of the situation. Ahaya will help you be patient and uncover the secrets of nature. So this is about patience. So the overview of the situation is being patient and uncovering some type of secrets, right? And maybe that secret is in Psalm 103:8, which is, "The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy." And isn't that a form of patience, right? Maybe we can take a tip from that. Here's the overview of the situation. Have you been impatient about trying to connect with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with? Have you been impatient with your current love life partner and feeling disconnected from them? So it's patience here, being merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy. There's the overview of the situation. Moving along, we have Yabamia. I think that's how it's pronounced, but we're going to take a look and see how that is suggested here in the book. It's number 70, so we go from 7 to 70, and angel number 70. Yep, it's Yabamia. Good, I'm starting to get the hang of this. So it's angel number 70, and it's on page 101. 101. 70 and 101. Yabamia. Did I miss anybody in the room here? No? Hello, hello. I think I got you all so far. All right. So Yabamia is in a position of challenge. So what is the challenge here? Right? What is the challenge here that this is saying in this aspect of connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with? Welcome to the room, Annie or Amy B. So what is the challenge here? Well, let's look at Yabamia. Word of God creating all. The hierarchy of angels that they're in is simply called angels, and the Bible verse corresponding to it is Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:1, which says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." Now, what does that pertain to our challenge here? Well, let's take a look. Your challenge. Yabamia governs natural processes and phenomena of nature and protects those who wish to progress spiritually. I don't even have to say it. If you've been listening, paying attention, or even taking notes, you would notice that that's a theme that came from before in the Viking runes. It's this progressing spiritually, this growth is the word that we're talking about here. So once again, Yabamia governs natural processes and phenomena of nature and protects those who wish to progress spiritually. So again here, this is what the divination we have in your challenge. Your challenge is to progress spiritually in order to connect with a compatible love-life partner to unite and bond with. Remember, if you don't look at the details of that sentence there, you won't understand why you have to grow spiritually or do any growth at all. Welcome, Elizabeth McClung, right? Because what it's saying is not just connecting with anybody. It's not just connecting with a life partner. It's compatible, right? There's a key word we have to look for. A compatible love-life partner. So if you do not grow spiritually, if you're in a state that is not really who you are, then how can you really connect with, unite and bond with someone that's compatible with you if you're not even yourself? Because then later on you grow out of or away from that person because you're not who you are now. So that's the challenge. The challenge is to progress spiritually, and that's what Yabamia is here to tell us. It governs natural processes and phenomena of nature and protects those who wish to progress spiritually. Moving along. The third position, the course of action called for. And just looking at it just for a second, it couldn't be any better. For the course of action called for everything that's been going on here, for the Viking runes that even told us before that you may have done something that you shouldn't be dismayed about. And here it is counseling us once again in the course of action called for. This angel, which is number 35, which interestingly enough is half of 70. Right, so we had the first one, which was 7. 10 times 7 is 70. Now we have half of 7 at 30, half of 70 at 35. And this one is, see, I'm a numerologist. You have to forgive the fact that I'm a nerd and that I look at these stuff like that. All right, so the next one is angel number 35, and it is Havakia, the god of joy. Havakia, the god of joy. So let's see, it's 35, and we find Havakia on page 66. Yeah, I like these double numbers. So 35 and on page 66. Let's go take a look. Let's go visit page 66 and see what happens here. And this is opening up a whole new thing of things to be read, which I may have to break apart and put in another talk right after this, because there's a whole angel numbers reading that can be done with these numbers afterwards. We're already at 68 minutes. Welcome number 23 to the room, Bob Yates. We're looking at the course of action called for when the issue is connecting with a compatible love-life partner to unite and bond with Havakia, the god of joy. It's in the hierarchy of angels as in the powers level, and the corresponding Bible verse is Psalms 116 verse 1. Psalms 116 verse 1, which reads, remember this is the course of action called for, I love the Lord because he hath heard my voice and my supplications. If you don't understand that, it'll become clearer here about the course of action called for right here. Shavakia supports peace and harmony in families and rules over contracts, successions, and amiable distributions. Now, here's the thing on the card. It says, under its office and abilities, right? Listen to this. Course of action called for reconciliation. Regains the favor of those one has offended. That's a course of action called for. You've been in an argument. Hello, Sharon. You've been in an argument. You've had a fight with somebody. This is the same thing that the Viking runes were counseling just before. Don't be dismayed by it. but get it together. It's not too late, right? Reconciliation regains the favor of those ones has offended. And I wasn't even looking at the cards for the other ones in the first two positions at first, right? But if you go back to the challenge, it was alchemy, transformation, rules, nature events, helps with spiritual progress. So it's exactly the same as it was in the book, whereas here on the card for Shavakia, the office and abilities are a little bit different here. And so I wanted to look at that so you can see just how interesting that is. When you look at the card itself, it says reconciliation. Remember, this is course of action called for. It's saying reconcile, regain the favor of those one has offended. It means make up, apologize, right? That's what it could be saying. The next position, we have the Archangel Metatron, which I haven't been really looking at these, the corresponding tarot, but I'm going to write them in the book here so that I can have another line to look at. So I'm going to have 5 of Pentacles for the overview of the situation. I have the Hermit for the challenge. And then I have Temperance for, 5 of Pentacles for the overview of the Hermit for the challenge, and then Temperance for the course of action called for. And now we're on to the sacrifice, and in the sacrifice position we have Metatron, which has no number. The corresponding tarot card is the Wheel of Fortune, but we're going to see what page Metatron is on. Let's see what page Metatron is on here. Metatron is not one of the 72 angels. It's not in the hierarchy of angels. It's in the archangels. One of the six archangels, and it's archangel number 2, Metatron. It's on page 26. So I'm going to write that down at least. Page 26. And then we're going to look, what do we have, a Bible verse there? We have Genesis 5:24. Genesis 5:24, which reads, okay, so this is the sacrifice. So Metatron is the corresponding Wheel of Fortune. It's known as the recording angel. Remember, this is in the position of sacrifice, and it says advancement and progress, teaches, guides, and records events in the book of life. That's directly on the card. Well, let's see what it says here. Genesis 5:24. Let's see if it gives us some insight. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more, because God took him away. Sacrifice, anyone? In a position of sacrifice, the Archangel Metatron teaches, guides, and records events in the book of life. He rules over the order of seraphim. So if anything that we can pull out of this sacrifice, it's saying advancement and progress, teaches, guides, and records events in the book of life, the Wheel of Fortune. The Archangel Michael teaches, guides, and records events in the book of life. The Bible verse is Enoch walked faithfully with God, then he was no more, because God took him away. Genesis 5:24. That is a very interesting thing to be in a position of sacrifice. It's the only archangel, the only one whose name is written in gold here, and in the sacrifice position. And I'm not sure I totally understand what that is, but maybe I'll get some more insight in there. Is it talking about slowing down advancement and progress? Is it saying that we have to start to pay more attention and write things down, recording it in our book of life in order to advance in relationships? It's the recording angel, Wheel of Fortune. Maybe there's some other things that we'll pick up later. But it is in the sacrifice position, and it is showing that God took Enoch away. Maybe there's something deeper to look at about Enoch. All right. Finally, in the position of the new situation evolving, we have angel number 37 in the new situation evolving. This is the last in this spread. It's the new situation evolving before we then move on to Black Tarot and Demon Tarot. But this is angel number 37. The new situation evolving is Aniel. Aniel is angel number 37, which is on page 68. So let's go there and see what we have here for the new situation evolving. Some of these are clear, but remember, in the sacrifice position, it simply might mean surrender to God. So, surrender, write, record. Maybe it talks about one thing that maybe you haven't been doing is making a journal or paying attention, and it's time to do that. All right, and the final card, Aniel. On the card of Aniel, Aniel corresponds to the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords. I got to put that there. And then we have, it's number 37, which I got, page 68. God, Lord of all virtues. And then the new situation evolving, it says, breaking the circle, lifts opposing barriers and brings victory. So that's a very nice thing in a new situation evolving. Welcome Grace Anthony to the room. Hello. So we have Aniel the angel saying, in a new situation evolving, breaking the circle, lifts opposing barriers and brings victory. I always like to see in the final position of a new situation evolving something talking about bringing victory. So let's look at Aniel a little bit more closely. God, Lord of all virtues. It's in the hierarchy of angels, or the order of angels under powers, and the corresponding Bible verse is Psalm 80, verse 20. Psalm 80, verse 20, which reads, "Turn us again, O Lord of hosts, cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved." Turn us again, O Lord God of hosts, cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. This is a new situation evolving. The new situation evolving. Aniel gives victory, rules over the sciences and the arts, reveals the secrets of nature, and inspires wise philosophers with their meditations. What we can pull out of here is that there is a victory in sight, if you've been following along. Aniel gives victory, rules over the sciences and arts, reveals the secrets of nature, and inspires wise philosophers with their meditations. I did see that somebody was calling in just a second ago. You can come back up. This is the last of these cards here for the Angel Tarot, and I will be moving on to the next deck to see what this shows us here. And it's going to go the same spread. That's what we're going to look at, of what the different positions are, which in the first position it was the overview of the situation, in which we had Ahaya, which is patience, the overview of the situation. And the challenge, it was transformation and changing and progressing spiritually. In the third position of the course of action called for, it was to reconcile and regain the favor of those one has offended. And in the fourth position of sacrifice, we had Metatron, which I'll have to admit, I'm not even sure what the heck is going on there. And then in the last position, it is the new situation evolving, which is victory, breaking the cycle, lifts opposing barriers, and brings victory. So that should be good news. All right. We're going to move on to the next deck, which is the Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams. an Ancestral Awakening deck and guidebook. Welcome Ray Davis to the room. And I'm putting these angels back into their keepsake for later. I may do another Angel versus Demons Battle Royale later. Who knows? We'll see. I'm going to get more creative with that one because I want to see if I can get like a real fight out of them somehow. And see what we got going on here. I got angels, I got demons. Might as well pit them against each other. They're doing it anyway. Might as well have some fun with it. Supposedly, right? That's what's going on. This battle of good and evil ever ensuing. An ever ensuing battle. An ongoing battle of the forces of heaven and hell. Alright. Thank you, Angel Tarot. We'll see y'all later. Or by me doing that, is that sort of like how people like get ants, some wicked, and they make the black ants versus the red ants fight inside of a, what are those called? Those ant farms? It's cruelty, isn't it? Maybe I shouldn't do it. All right. Next is the Black Tower. Remember, we are going the order of this reading here, which if you've just joined us here, you're just in time for the next one. So you didn't miss anything. That's why I'm doing, how many readings did I do? I did Runemal, the Viking runes first. But first I opened up with numerology for the date of May 23rd, 2023, which is an 8, energy of power, money, and fame, which showed itself in the runes as well as the Angel Tarot, and just making connections in different ways. Then, we went to the Viking runes, then to the Angel Tarot. Now we're at Black Tarot. And the run of the show is going to be the same. The order that we're reading is just in the same spread that the Viking runes give us, which is the first position is going to be an overview of the situation. The first position is the overview of the situation. And what situation are we talking about here? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. Welcome to the room, Chocolate Yoda. Let me tell you, the issue is connecting with a compatible love or life partner to unite and bond with. And again, remember, it doesn't matter if you're single, if you have your eye on somebody or not, if you don't have anybody particularly in mind, if you're in a new relationship or if you're in a longer relationship. This all applies here. As if you've been listening, you've heard, and like I said, this is like counsel from, or advice from a counselor. There's something here that you're going to hear that says, yeah, maybe I should start breaking my old habits and working on personal growth and things like that, because all of that stuff is going to be beneficial for any kind of relationship, whether you're single and you're looking for somebody. How could it not be good for you to work on yourself and work on growth and progress? And especially because of what I pointed out before about the fact that if you get into a relationship and you haven't done that personal growth yet, then once you do get it, right, then that's the only way that then you might brush that person off, because now you've grown into a new being and you've entered into a relationship at a certain vibration that may be so-called lower, and now you're at a higher vibration. That person ain't looking so good to you anymore. So therefore is the compatibility here. There's the compatibility. And this whole thing is about, welcome TaylorMade, hello Terry. The whole thing is about, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. And remember, you can connect still with somebody you've already been with. You can unite and bond with them further, right? So there's nothing to be lost and all to be gained, because even loss in itself is a gain, as I very well know all about that in my life, is that even losses are gains in some ways if we decide to look at it that way, or else I'd be the subject of my own haiku that I wrote not too long ago, which I just looked at, that says, "Soon I'll cut and bleed in a Virginia graveyard waiting to go home." Right? We can get pretty severe in our grief, guilt, self-loathing, and all these other things. All right. So now, once again, the 5 card spread here is going to be in the first position is the overview of the situation. That's 1. Number 2 is challenge. Number 3 is the course of action called for. Number 4 is sacrifice. And number 5 is the new situation evolving. This is the Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams, an ancestral awakening deck and guidebook. I love this take on the tarot here. And so now let's go ahead and enter into the reading here. I'll turn these all over. And remember, the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. I already see some interesting things here. This is actually pretty cool. I'm already seeing a pattern. And this last card turning over, what do we got? Oh yeah, this is actually pretty cool. I've never pulled this card before for the last one. It's actually, that's awesome. I like seeing new stuff, and it's completely different than all the other ones. And that's what's been happening so far in these spreads. Like in certain key positions, like in the Viking runes, there was the only rune that popped up in the new situation evolving was the only one that didn't have a reversal. Yet in the reading of it, welcome Noble Ron, welcome Helen Kayoma. Yet in the reading of it, it said that it always acts in reversal. I thought that was pretty fascinating. But now we'll go along here. So in the first position, the 8 of baskets. The 8 of baskets is going to tell us what is the overview of the situation. The 8 of baskets. And baskets are here in the place of what we would call cups in the traditional tarot, like the Rider-Waite. So this is the 8 of baskets. And what does it say? Okay, here's the overview of the situation. It says escapism, withdrawal. Card description. A woman starts down a new path, leaving behind all her baggage. She knows she could sit and wallow in the emotions connected to the past that have led to this point. It takes courage to walk away and forge a new route. At times, we have to stop and admit to ourselves that things are no longer working and are unable to be mended. It's not an easy decision to withdraw from someone or something that you have invested so much time, energy, and love into, but acknowledging that not everything is meant to last. The 8 of baskets is about honoring what is meant for you and being able to freely say goodbye to all that no longer resonates. It is the most tender-hearted of breakups that, while difficult, is necessary. We cannot keep giving time, energy, and space to people and things that hurt us or hold us back. It's time to release the soul ties that are no longer serving you. Okay, already interesting enough in that. Welcome, Dr. Rao, Marcy Ann. Let's pop in here. All right. It's interesting to see that this has a lot to do, it talks a lot about relationships and things like that. But remember, it's also talking about, because this is not saying to anybody, I don't want any of you to throw your arms, I'm not breaking up with my boyfriend or girlfriend or divorcing my husband or wife. That's not what it's saying. It's using that as a description, but it's also saying that it's time to release the soul ties that are no longer serving you. And that can be things, right? There's people and things, or even situations, right? It's the most tender-hearted of breakups that, while difficult, is necessary, which is, we've got that from the Viking runes that were read before, and from the Angel Tarot also saying the same thing. It makes me wonder if something in life that we should constantly be doing is assessing ourselves and getting rid of our old baggage and bullshit in order to be better. In Yang, it says, and this is the masculine and the order. Remember, new situation evolving is this first position. Leaving the past behind. Disappointment. Seeking of truth. Self-discovery. In Yin, the feminine and chaos, and don't get mad at me, a woman wrote this book. It was Nyasha Williams. She's the one who made this indication here. In Yin, indecision, fear of the unknown, making regrettable choices, avoiding responsibilities. So the new situation evolving has twofold here. It's saying to the things that you want to do is leave the past behind. You might be disappointed. You have to seek the truth, and self-discovery, a theme that has appeared over and over and over again. Growth, self-discovery, spiritual progress, right? It was all about growth in the Viking runes. It was spiritual progress in the Angel Tarot, and now here we have self-discovery in this first position here of new situation, or the overview of the situation. In yin, indecision, fear of the unknown, making regrettable choices, and avoiding responsibilities. Don't do that stuff. Here's the aligning. Overview of the situation. Trust your gut feeling and make the change you have been putting off. Trust your gut feelings and make the change you have been putting off. Welcome, Lulu Baby. Welcome, Lulu Baby, to the room. Hey, I've got 33 of you in here now. How's it going? All right. Moving on to the second position, which is challenge. And challenge here is represented by the 7 of coins. And coins are what the traditional tarot would call the pentacles. The pentacles. And we have 7 of coins in the challenge. And it's very interesting too. Again, there are a lot of points of connection here. We've been here for a while. I've been here 90 minutes now, so this is the third, or actually really the fourth reading that I'm doing. But here we go. In the position of challenge, 7 of coins. The traits are investment and sustainable results. The card description: a woman sits on the shoreline, enjoying the tide coming in. She knows that the seeds she planted have taken root. Now is the time to rest, pause, and reflect. You have put in the hard work, dedication, and discipline. Take the time to bask in your upcoming harvest. It is important to make time to honor progress while you grow, heal, build, and create. The 7 of coins offers congratulations on your solid foundation and celebrates your accomplishments and achievements. Contemplate your life before this point. What adversities did you work to overcome? Consider your why. Are you still on course and getting the results you are working toward? Take pride in your perseverance, mending, and manifesting. Once you have regained your breath and feel rejuvenated, keep going. This is offering a lot about the challenge here. It's talking about for you to reconsider everything and consider your why. It's asking you, are you still on course? Right? Take pride in your perseverance. So your challenge here is to get back into looking at these things. Once you have regained your breath and feel rejuvenated, keep going. So that's your challenge, is perseverance. That's why the traits opening the card are sustainable results. This is where the challenge may be, if the issue is connecting with, which it is here, a compatible love, life partner to unite and bond with. In yang, enjoying the fruits of your labor, big picture insight, accessing progress and alignment. So a revelation just came to me, which was really interesting, of a way to look at this, which is that in yang, it's saying that it's difficult for you here, because this is in a challenge position. So it's going to be difficult for you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's the challenge. It's challenging for you to do that. It's challenging for you to have the big picture insight, and it's challenging for you to access progress and alignment. So that's what you have to work on. But it might be easier here in yin for you to involve yourself in fruitless endeavors, feel a lack of rewards, work or job exploitation, and giving up prematurely. And how does that apply again to the relationship? Remember, opening with the numeral 8, the number 8 for the day of May 23rd, 2023 was power, money, and fame, and we read a lot into that if you were here early, but don't worry if you don't miss it, because it's popping up over and over and over again here. Fruitless endeavors, lack of rewards, work or job exploitation, giving up prematurely, because remember, one of the 3 things that these marriage and family therapists and love counselors and psychologists talk about in relationships, that it's communication, money, and sex are the 3 things that can cripple, that can make or break a relationship. So this is something, the challenge that may be going, because yes, this causes problems in relationships, but aligning, and this might be challenging for you to do too, but do this. Here's your challenge. List positive life results you worked hard to achieve. So make a list. List positive life results you worked hard to achieve. Welcome, Stevie, to the room. Now, moving on to the third position, which is always fun. It's the course of action called for. Course of action called for, which is kind of an indication of saying what to do. What can you do? What's something you can do? What is something you can you can wrap your hands around? What can you do in the physical world? And it's represented by the 5 of baskets. the 5 of baskets. So what can you do? Well, what's happening right now is that the traits in this course of action called for are disappointment and loss. The card description says, a man has dropped cartons of eggs on the ground at a market. Although one carton is unsalvageable, 4 others are intact. But the man's focus is on the loss. Oh my God, this is just so powerful right here. This is what you do. Here's what's going to tell. The loss is painful. The 5 of baskets offers permission to grieve. Allow for a release, as all your emotions are valid. Part of the healing process involved mourning and processing. Remember that healing is not linear. Some days, weeks, months, or years will be easier than others. Avoiding things doesn't make them go away. Make space for being in your feelings, but don't make a home there. Not all is lost. Practice shifting your focus to joyous memories. You will feel happiness again. Trust that the best is yet to come. Well, that couldn't be much better for a course of action called for something to do. Welcome, Spacey. Hey, Mr. 2 Extra, how you doing? Welcome to the room. That couldn't be much better. It's telling us right here, a course of action called for. It's like, hey, you have permission to grieve. Remember before we were talking about letting things go, right? But here it says, okay, yeah, that's what you got to do. And this wasn't necessarily about the relationships itself, but other bad habits and things you've been doing. Grieve for them, because sometimes habits we get into, we get attached to, just as much as we get attached to people. Healing is not linear. Some days, weeks, months, or years will be easier than others. Avoiding things doesn't make them go away. Make space for your feelings, but don't make a home there. Right? That's the course of action called for. And also, practice shifting your focus to joyous memories. You will feel happiness again. Trust that the best is yet to come. This is something that was talked about when Noble Ron was reading Think and Grow Rich and talking about transmutation. The way to transmute, the way to change them is to shift your focus, which is in no way easy, but that's the thing to do. In Yang, right? Dwelling on the negative and not appreciating what you have, loss of perspective, disappointment, regret. So this is what not to do. Don't dwell on the negative and not appreciate what you have, loss of perspective, disappointment, regret, right? In Yin, personal setbacks, feelings of abandonment, unwelcome change, emotional release. Well, we got to allow yourself to experience that, the feelings of abandonment, unwelcome change, emotional release. Just like in the course of action called for. The healing is not linear. Make space for your feelings, but don't make a home there. Shift your focus to more joyous memories. Here's an aligning. Here's another thing to do. Recite daily affirmations with intent. And one of those daily affirmations you can recite is to find something to write down that's a joyous memory, and maybe just read about that. That time when I was happy doing blah blah blah, or so and so, right? Recite daily affirmations with intent. Course of action called for. Moving on to the sacrifice. What is in the sacrifice? Remember, sometimes sacrifice meaning surrender to God, if you will. Right? Sacrifice. And sacrifice here is represented by the 9 of coins. Man, this is really going along with that first reading of the number 8 in numerology that I did to open this up with. Here we have in the position of sacrifice is the 9 of coins, and the traits are self-sufficient and luxury. Card description. A couple stands at the entrance of their home, welcoming guests with honey jars and figs. They have built their empire and are comfortably self-sufficient. The couple has broken free of the constructs created to limit them, and now have a flourishing hive made on their terms. The two honor each other as equals and take pride in the home they have made. They are filled with gratitude for their lifestyle, circumstances, and company. The 9 of coins rings of abundance. The couple appreciates moving at a slower pace, taking care of their environment and acknowledging their success. They make time to thank those who came before them, who paved the way. What is your manifesto? Continue to structure your life in a way that works for you in balance and sustainability. Feel confident in your ability to handle anything that comes your way. Trust your voice and don't be afraid to create a path where few have wandered. In Yang, prosperity and comfort, and having the time and state of mind to enjoy it, having resources on hand to make further gains, prosperity as a result of hard work. In Yin, living beyond your means. So this would be the sacrifice, right? Something to surrender or to give up, right? Is this next part. In order to have those things in Yang that were just read, right? It's sacrifice living beyond your means. Sacrifice caring for others for financial gain. Sacrifice trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's very direct here. Aligning. Enhance your space. Create an environment that feels rich in the ways that matter to you. I mean, if I wasn't overwhelmed by all of this, I could easily go back and look at how the runes and everything else was counseling in something very similar, right? It said in the runes, it says, you have to consider, is wealth and abundance really something that matters to you, or is it about growth? And is it about the growth of a will, right? So it's saying consider these things. So aligning, enhance your space, create an environment that feels rich in the ways that matter to you. And again, here we have a couple here in this sacrifice position. Hello, Foxy and Andrea Raquel, welcome. And so now finally, in the new situation evolving, a card that I have never ever pulled before, and is completely different from all the other ones, which I find fascinating. To be in the last position of the new situation evolving, it's like shining a light on everything, and it's none other than the sun. The sun in a new situation evolving. And it's interesting how this card is laid out, and the fact that the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. And remember, it's whether you're single or whether you're in a new relationship or even a long-term relationship that you've already been in that's established. There's no way that you could say that you don't need to connect more deeply, that you don't need to look at more ways that you're compatible, that you can't strengthen your unity and your bond with that person, right? There's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. And that's what this is about. Hello, Sharente Carr, Christopher John Martins, welcome. I've got 40 of you in here, and I've got one more reading to go, which many of you may run away from. But this is the new situation evolving. The sun. New situation evolving. Get this. Couldn't be any better. This is how all of them have ended so far. Traits. Abundance. Fertility. Yes. The card description. A couple stand at the foot of a table, excitedly awaiting the addition to their family. They are taking time to celebrate life. The sun symbolizes abundance and is a reminder of the law of receiving and giving. When you have more than you need, extend your table. Don't build a higher fence. Remember, this is also something that we heard in the Viking runes that said the mark of a nourished spirit is to extend that nourishment to others. Anyway, I continue. New situation evolving. The sun card warms all it touches, reminding us of everything we have to gift to the world and to assist in spreading our light to others. Falsehoods of lack and scarcity were designed to divide us and to create imbalance with Mother Earth. We are encouraged to express and expand ourselves. You know, that first line of that second paragraph there, the sun card warms all it touches, reminds me of something that I wrote some time ago. Welcome to the room. Who came in here? Cosmic J. I see Taylor Maid is still here. And someone just sent me a message. Sounds kind of like Anthony said, okay. Oh, no, that's a different subject, okay. All right, let me see here. Welcome, I don't know who just came in here, but that's okay. So in the Sun card, so it reminds me of that opening sentence to the second paragraph. The Sun card warms all it touches is a poem, something that I or a piece of prose that I wrote some time ago that says, "My love is not like the beam of a flashlight, focused and spotted on one, but more like the rays of the sun, flooding over every living thing." And this is what this is telling us here in the new situation evolving. The sun warms all it touches, reminding us of everything we have to gift the world and to assist in spreading our light to others. Falsehoods of lack and scarcity were designed to divide us and to create imbalance with Mother Earth. We are encouraged to express and expand ourselves. You might be thinking, what does that have to do with connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with? Well, it's obvious again. And the whole idea is of personal growth and the growth of a will and self-improvement and motivation, that if you encounter someone, whether it's a new relationship or you don't have one yet and you don't start to grow now, that if later when you change, it's not going to be your true authentic self and it's simply going to grow apart, because the issue here is compatibility. Let's move on and continue to see what this says here. In the new situation evolving position, when the Sun card is pulled, it is time to consider the following. Are you searching for your dream life, or are you creating it? Who or what lights you up? When was the last time you took a break or a vacation? The flower is a centaurea, which represents fertility, hope, and devotion. The element is fire. The chakra is the solar plexus. And in Yang, this is a new situation evolving. If you're in alignment with this here, if you're doing the so-called right things, it's warmth, positivity, vitality, success, investment in yourself and in your endeavors, essential events, payoff, new interest, optimism, confidence, good luck. Now remember, again, I'm going to remind, if you haven't been here the whole time, and just for repetition's sake, you might wonder, what does all this talk about money and finance and abundance have to do? Well, first of all, for one, I did the numerology for the day of May 23rd, 2023, and the numeral that comes when you add those numbers together is 8, which is power, money, and fame, which set the tone for this, even though I knew that I was addressing the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. Because that's one of the important things in a relationship. Remember, communication, money, sex. And so that's a very important factor here, and it's something that people should focus on if they have not been. In Yin, excessive optimism, naivety, inner child, blockage, being overshadowed by negativity, overconfidence, ego, pessimism, lack of motivation and expression. This is basically showing the branches of where things could go. Right? It could either be warmth, positivity, vitality, and success, or excessive optimism, naivety, inner child blockage, and being overshadowed by negativity. Right? But here's how you can do some aligning. Aligning. Root out any issues you have around trusting others. Write out your life goals in the present tense. New situation evolving. Root out any issues you have around trusting others. Write out your life goals in the present tense. And something you can do here is the affirmation, finally, for the new situation evolving is, I step into my power, sharing my light, glory, and jubilation with others. Once again, I step into my power, sharing my light, glory, and jubilation with others. One more time for the fucking noisemakers in the room. I step into my power, sharing my light, glory, and jubilation with others. That's the new situation evolving. Alright. That was the Black Tarot by Nyasha Williams, an Ancestral Awakening deck and guidebook. Alright. Let me put these away and reset. We've got one more, and for those of you squeamish, maybe this will be the time for you to exit the building, or exit the wisdom room here, if you haven't already, because we have the infamous Demon Tarot coming up next, which is funny because it might actually be one of the most insightful of them all. to look back at these cards here. Let's see the order of these cards that I had in the well, I know the sun was the last one. See, I got carried away and I forgot to write them, but I'm going to backtrack my order here. I know sun was the last one. Before that I had the 9, I think it was a 9 of baskets or the 9 of coins, but I know it was a 9 of something. Before that, in the middle, I know that there was a 2 of swords somewhere. Right. I'll get them. That's why I have this recording, so I can go back and listen to it. And it's on Spreaker too, so I can easily find the part where I was there. Alright, so putting these away, because this is going to be even more to look at some cross-reference. I'm going to have to do a whole thing on cross-referencing these positions to see what comes out to them. That'll be a totally different one, as I'm at an hour or 110 minutes right now, which is an hour and 40 minutes. It's a very long time to be doing that. But I still have one left to go, and that is the Demon Tarot by Ariana Osborne. So if those of you daring in the room who are still here who have not yet heard the reading for this particular issue that we presented here, which is connecting with a compatible love and life partner to unite and bond with. Alright. So think about that issue here. I'm putting these black tarot cards away right now, and we're going to see what comes up next. And I have to make a special trip back here. So that's what happens if I don't pay attention. And I've got to go back, trace my steps here to make sure I figure out the order of those cards, which I do know ended with the sun, which is really beautiful. Alright, y'all. Are you ready? Welcome to the room, Farah Bernash. I don't know. Are you ready for this? You might bounce in the room just as quickly as you came in here. Hello, Dr. Rao. Because we are going into the Demon Tarot. And as some of you may know already, that this Dictionnaire Infernal, it's not about any, all of these creatures are not demons. As a matter of fact, they've labeled a couple of them in here as demons, which are simply deities that are not accepted in the Christian religion, like Kali, the goddess in Hinduism, and several others that come from that belief system. So one man's demon is another man's angel, right? All right, here we go with the Demon Tarot is coming up next. Remember, in the first position is going to be the overview of the situation, and the second position is going to be the challenge. In the third position is going to be the course of action called for. In the fourth position is the sacrifice or surrender to God, and in the fifth position is the new situation evolving. Welcome to the room, Sparkly Queen. Alright, I got 43 of you in here. Here's one of the final readings that are going to happen, at least for the tower here so far. And in the first position, 1 is overview of the situation. 2 is the challenge. 3 is the course of action called for. 4 is the sacrifice, and 5 is the new situation evolving. And I've got 44 of you here. Who is that? Kevin Maher, hello. In the first position for the overview of the situation, we have Alocer or Alocer. In the second position of the challenge, we have Lucifer himself. In the third position, or the course of action called for, we have Garuda. In the fourth position, or the sacrifice, we have Ravissol. And in the final card, in the position of new situation evolving, we have Haborium, or Haborim. Let's see. It'll be interesting to see, because he is definitely the most wicked looking out of all these motherfuckers that I just pulled out here. So let's see what's going on with this Shizat. Alright. In the number 1 position, we have Alocer, spelled A-L-O-C-E-R. Alocer, also Alocer or Alosis, is a Duke of Hell with 36 military units under his command. He appears as a knight riding an enormous steed. His face is like a lion's, with a ruddy complexion and fiery eyes. What, you may ask, does he have anything to do with connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me read it to you. We'll see. Alloser, because we have for him and just all the other ones, we have annotation, inspiration, and a divination. Here we go. Alloser, also Allosis or Alloser, is another demon who comes to us from Wyer's Pseudomonarchia Demonium, or Demonum, in which he is named as a great Duke of Hell, commanding 36 legions of demons. He, like Abigor, appears as a knight on horseback, but unlike Abigor, Alloser does not seem to be interested in the art of war or military strategy. Instead, his focus is on astronomy and the liberal arts, and he does enjoy tempting those who summon him into acts of immorality. But let's be fair, he is a demon. He should be allowed to have a bit of fun. Alloser's cat-like appearance in Louis Breton's cards is not caricature. He is most often described as having the face of a lion, with glowing eyes and a roaring voice. Perhaps those animal characteristics are responsible for another of his gifts. Alloser is said to be able to guide those who summon him to find good familiars, and surely many of those are the classic black cat. Inspiration. Picture the cliché of the large, powerful general with a booming voice, a bawdy sense of humor, and permanently ruddy cheeks. And you're not far from the picture of Alloser. While Abigor is the sort of general whose wars could bring to mind a chessboard, Alloser's engagement would seem to be more of those of a Viking warlord with a knowledge of astronomy to guide his armies and a love of the arts to appreciate the treasure he conquers. Overview of the situation. Focus on liberal sciences, including observation and charting. Now this is a little bit more lighthearted. Welcome Speak Life Podcast, Bobby Vivench, and Salty Coffee Podcast. The overview of the situation. I'm looking at focus on liberal sciences, including observation and charting. What could that possibly mean if the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with? It might be saying to add a little fun to your life, but who knows? I'm not even certain yet. We're going to see as we go along, because that is confusing to me. But then again, he is a demon after all. All right, as they said. But in the challenge position, the second position here, we have none other than Lucifer himself in the challenge position, which everybody knows is a demon, a fallen angel. And in the challenge position, we have Lucifer. Lucifer is a fallen angel whose name is also that of the morning star, the planet Venus, which is also known as the bringer of dawn. He is a king of hell who appears as a beautiful child. All right, Lucifer, what is our challenge? What is the challenge here in the relationships? If anybody can mine anything out of Alloser, talking about us looking at the liberal arts, astronomy, and stuff like that, please. All right, Lucifer, in the challenge position. Lucifer is one of the most difficult demons to summarize, as there are hundreds of books, stories, and mythological references to that name. Some use the name Lucifer, Latin for the morning star, as the name of Satan before his fall from heaven, while others believe that Lucifer is a separate demon. In this text, we will focus on Colin de Plancy's description of the demon, not an alias for Satan, but as a demon who is the king in the eastern region of hell and is often mistaken for the devil. Inspiration. Colin de Plancy's Lucifer appears as a young boy with a pretty face. Even when angry, the demon never changes to a form that is anything but beautiful. The name Lucifer was often used or alleged in the rituals and sabbats of European witches. Lucifer was known to appear at some of these gatherings. In fact, a favorite childlike trick of the demon was to pull witches off their brooms while they were en route to gatherings, but after giving them a playful fright, he would then carry them to the sabbat on his shoulders. Although Lucifer is sometimes mischievous, he is said to be very strict about justice in hell. Divination. This could speak to our challenge more. Focus on finding sympathy and understanding for those with whom there is no agreement, even enemies. Well, that speaks directly to it. I think that's very good right there. Welcome, Doobie. Hello, sir. So, the challenge may be to focus on finding sympathy and understanding for those with whom there is no agreement. This was something that was talked about before in some of the other readings about making up. Remember reconciliation in the angel cards right before the Black Tarot? So there's one right there, reconciliation. That's the challenge. Focus on finding sympathy and understanding for those whom there is no agreement, even enemies. So we're not talking about enemies here. But let's see. Andrea Raquel says, sounds like a Moor or Sultan to me, like Khans or the great pharaohs, later written off as demand, 666, melanated evil, etc. Also there's Dark Santa, which comes from the Dutch. To me, I see those demigods that were responsible for developing buildings and etc. Yep, exactly. Well, that's what we get a lot of that stuff from. That's what demonizing is. All right, let's look at the course of action called for in the third position, and we have Garuda. What does Garuda have to tell us about the course of action called for? Remember, really all of this can be looked at, and I didn't say this before, as course of actions called for. You can look at all of these things in whatever position they're in and see how can they apply to something you can do, because that's what everything is really. It's finding something that you can do. The fourth position, or the third position here, is course of action called for. Hello, Dan. And John Bush is still here. Come back again. Garuda. Garuda is based on the legend. See, here's another one, right? The legend of the Hindu aspect of the same name. His body is that of a great and magnificent bird, powerful enough to carry the god Vishnu, and his head is that of a handsome man. Right, so here we have one being made as a demon, which is simply a Hindu deity. Is that fair? In the position of course of action called for, let's see what this is going to tell us to do. What action can we take? Annotation. Of the Hindu aspects described by Colin de Plancy in his Dictionnaire, Garuda is the most accurate. Colin de Plancy gives Garuda's physical description as that of a great bird with the head of a handsome young man. He also notes that Garuda served the god Vishnu as a vahana, a Sanskrit word meaning that which carries or pulls, and therefore a mythical vehicle or mount of a deity. Colin de Plancy also states that Garuda's mother, who incubated the egg from which he hatched for 4 years, was called Diti. But most Hindu legends regarding Garuda say that his mother was Vinata and his father was Kasyapa. All right. Inspiration. There are several different versions of the story of how Garuda came to be the Mount of Vishnu. Some traditions state that owing to Garuda's great size when he was born, he was so hungry that he went on several quests trying to find enough food. But it was not until he met Vishnu that he found a way to be fulfilled. Other legends say that Garuda went searching for the elixir of immortality, and after many quests, he found it. But Vishnu offered him eternal life without the elixir if he would become his mount. All stories about the event agree that Garuda spent many long and difficult quests trying to fulfill some need, and that once Vishnu granted that need, he gave his services ever after out of thanks. Hello, Greg's Take. Welcome back, Farah Brunash. Brunash, is that how you say it? And the divination, this is the course of action called here, and this is something that we've heard again and again and again. It was not only in the Angel Tarot. Well, first of all, the Viking rune said it, the Angel Tarot, the Black Tarot, and now here we have it again here. Course of action called for says, focus on patience. Oh, and here's another one that it said too, and perseverance. Focus on patience and perseverance in difficult situations, and on repaying those who help to attain goals. Again, there is another thing there about reciprocity, and also says repaying those who help to attain goals. It didn't necessarily talk about money, but it used the word repaying. I'm going to make sure I write these down here because I had forgotten to do that before. And all I need to do is, I'm going to write them all down now. Alucer, Lucifer, Garuda is in our course of action called for. Next is Ribosol coming up in the position of sacrifice, and Haborium, or Haborim, is the last one in the new situation evolving, which I'm excited to get to. We're almost there. I'll write their page numbers down later, as long as I wrote their names in the order they're in. We'll be fine. So that's the course of action called for, the center card here and the way that I have it. Welcome Kim Nash in this issue, connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with, is to be patient. Focus on patience and perseverance in difficult situations, and on repaying those who help to retain goals. In the sacrifice position, we have Ribosol. Ribosol. Let's see what Ribosol's card says first, and then we'll look at the deeper annotations, inspiration, and divination. This is the sacrifice. Ribosol, also Rubizol, or Kronos, is a guardian spirit of the giant mountains of Central Europe. He commands the thunder and lightning, and is quick to take offense to the use of his name. And here I was repeating it over and over again. Better watch out for the lightning strikes. All right. Ribosol, he's in the fourth position of sacrifice here. Remember, surrender to God is also sacrifice. Ribosol is a demon of Czech and Germanic origin who lives high in the mountains and can incite heavy cloud cover and ice storms. Like the knickers of the sea or the lechis of the forest, Ribosol is part guardian spirit, part mischievous or angry demon who whips up storms for his own reasons. According to folklore, if he is summoned by his name, Ribosol, he is likely to take offense and create terrible weather. Let me look outside for a second. Oh, there are storm clouds coming in. But if he is referred to with respect by the name Lord of the Mountain, he is far more likely to respond with favor and good weather. All right. Let's see. Inspiration. Remember, this is in the position of sacrifice. Two more of you popped in here. Hello, Tam Parker and Cecilia Grace. Ribosol in the position of sacrifice. Inspiration. Ribosol has many qualities in common with the trickster gods of many cultures. He teaches medicine and plant lore to those he favors, and he can be warm and kind on occasion. However, he is often very cold and harsh, seeing humans as a bother and a distraction to his greater studies and works. And he is quick to disregard lesser beings as unworthy of his gifts and only worth destroying. I think that's going to give an interesting indication of what to sacrifice here. Yes, it does. Here's the sacrifice divination. Beware of excluding emotions for the pursuit of logic or genius. Take care not to invest too much in learning as to become cruel and unfeeling. That's very clear to me as a sacrifice, as in many times people talk about men and women in arguments and how guys exclude their emotion and instead try to get too logical and reasonable and so on and so forth, or try to win the argument. But this could be advice for anybody. It doesn't have to be man, woman, or any such dichotomies. It's with anybody. Sometimes we have a tendency to want to be right, and that's what this is counseling against. This is the sacrifice. This is what to give up. Beware of excluding emotions for the pursuit of logic or genius. Take care not to invest so much in learning as to become cruel and unfeeling. Basically saying, pay attention to your feelings and the feelings of your intended or your partner. Don't be so bent on winning an argument to be right, because that's what logic and genius is all about, right? Is being correct and right, and so that you become cruel and unfeeling, which can include name calling and things like that. Has that been something that you've been involved in? I don't know. Only you do. All right. And finally, in the position of the new situation evolving, this is one ugly son of a bitch. It's Haborim. And we're going to see what he has to say about the new situation evolving. I mean, this dude is fucked up looking. If there ever was a demon, this is one of them right here. This homie is wicked looking. Let's see what his card says. Haborim, also Ayam or Aim, is a Duke of Hell in command of 26 military units. He carries a torch and has 3 heads. In the center, that of a man, and that's not even a good-looking dude either. On the left, a serpent, and on the right, a cat. And he has like a serpent coming from between his legs too. They didn't mention that. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. That is crazy. Oh, maybe he's riding a snake. Look at he's riding a snake. Let's see what the annotation says. That dude is crazy looking, bro. Alright. Alright, this is the new situation evolving. We're going to see what the divination... Oh man, I took a peek at the divination. It's very relevant. Alright, here we go. To this whole thing, the issue is connecting with a compatible love, life, partnership, unite, and bond with. The annotation for Haborim, it says, Haborim also goes by the name of Aim or Ayim or Aim, depending upon the demonologist. According to Wyer's Pseudo-Monarchia Dæmonum, Haborim is a Duke of Hell in command of 26 military units. Haborim appears in the form of a handsome man, but he could never be mistaken for a human. He has 2 smaller heads on either side of the man's head in the middle, those of a serpent and a cat. He also manifests before conjurers riding on a giant viper and carrying a flaming torch. Inspiration. The torch carried by Haborim is not for decoration. With it, Haborim is said to set anything alight, whether it be a building, a person, or a whole city. Haborim is, by all accounts, a witty and intelligent demon who will answer all manner of questions truthfully and in good humor, but his tendency to destruction carries even into conversations. It is said that Haborim delights in using his sharp tongue to cut down those who summon him and their friends and foes alike. Just like the fire he wields, Haborim's wit does not care what it destroys. It only wants more fuel. And here's the new situation evolving. This is what it's encouraging and counseling you to do in the future. Beware of sharp wit and cunning becoming a destructive force if not tempered with consideration. This is very similar to what it said about before on the sacrifice. It could also be saying the same thing. Sacrifice this. Beware of sharp wit and cunning becoming a destructive force if not tempered with consideration. Beware of sharp wit and cunning becoming a destructive force if not tempered with consideration. Yes, I read it thrice. And there goes the Demon Tarot. Remember, those 5 positions are overview of the situation, challenge, course of action called for, sacrifice, and new situation evolving. We opened up with a reading of the today's date, which is May 23rd, 2023, and came up with the number 8, which is power, money, and fame. And there was all kinds of counsel about how that plays into relationships. And if you didn't start at the beginning, then you can go ahead and listen to this recording. It's also on Spreaker, which may be a little bit easier to forward and reverse through. It's being broadcast on Spreaker live right now, but as soon as I end this, it'll be available. And the Spreaker show that it's under UniquilibriuM on Spreaker. That's Spreaker, like speaker, but with an R. And also the show is called UniquilibriuM, just like my call here on Wisdom. And let's see if there's anything else that I'm going to do at this time. Well, I'm thinking not. I'm going to actually come back and do a whole separate comparison between all of these, which is the basis of occultonometry or occultonometrics, a name partly inspired by Miss Cicely Marie Goose, aka Wandering Fool, aka Professor X. And it's when I do these comparisons more closely, instead of one after the other, I look at, which is why I put all the same spreads for each and every different tarot card, so that I can look at What similarities are across the overview of the situation? What similarities are across the challenge? What similarities are across the course of action called for, the sacrifice and the new situation evolving? Because here we found some very similar things and some interesting patterns, but this will be one table to look at and see where those come from. And also, there were 4 tools used here, well 5, which were the Viking runes, then the Angel Tarot, the Black Tarot, and the Demon Tarot. And I would be, well, I know that I'm going to give something here that's also pertinent to everyone. Earlier today, when I went to the courthouse to register for my concealed handgun permit, I had a handcuff key on my keys, and so one of the officers said they'll lock it up for me, and they took it and they put it in one of the lockers and gave me the key for the locker so that I could simply come back downstairs and unlock and get my keys that had the handcuff key on it from out of the locker. And I just quickly threw everything in my pocket and quickly went upstairs because I wanted to make sure I got before the clerk to be able to get all my paperwork in order. And just as I checked my pocket, I checked to see where the key was to make sure I had it, and it was in my left pocket. And I pulled it out and looked at the key number, and of course, being a numerologist and having an angel numbers book, I just made note that the fact that it was key number 52. And I quickly looked at my watch, and sure enough, it was 1:52 and 52 seconds. So that was 3 times it was repeated right in front of my face. Like it was like, yeah, check this out. This is something you need to look at. And of course, I looked at it, and I'm going to share it with you because this is something that's going to be great to close out with for all of us that may be considering the issue is connecting with a compatible love life partner to unite and bond with. Here is the key and what this overall situation has been telling us in the first place. 52. Fine-tuning. Hone your skills. You're being called not just to pass on certain skills, but also to really focus on them and make them the best they can be. An interest you have is calling to you for more attention. Acknowledge this and create a plan for furthering your own education on the matter. Once again, fine-tuning, hone your skills. You are being called not just to pass on certain skills, but also to really focus on them and make them the best they can be. An interest you have is calling to you for more attention. Acknowledge this and create a plan for furthering your own education on the matter. Well, I know what that is for me. What does that mean to you? You've been listening to Hitman, Hitman, Hakeem, in the morning, afternoon, and night, because I just never know when I'm going to be around. But it's often, sometimes. Presented by yours truly, Hakeem Ali Bokus Alexander, here on Spreaker Social Podcasting and Wisdom Social Audio Inc. Presented for, because I did a lot of reading, World Reading Club in association with UniquilibriuM. Interestingly, we have 53 people in the room as I end this, and this is actually episode 53 on Spreaker in the show UniquilibriuM, if I'm not mistaken. And so until next time, thanks for coming through, everybody. Taylor Made, Andrea Raquel, Farah Bernash, Tam Parker, Cecilia Grace, Coolio D. Jones, Kim Nash, Greg's Take, John Bush, Dan, Salty Coffee, Doobie, Speak Life Podcast Show, Bobby Vivench, Kevin Marr, Sparkly Queen, Dr. Rao, what's up, Mike Jackson, Andrea, Stevie, Cosmic J, Sharenti Carr, Christopher John Martins, Foxy, Spacey, Mr. 2 Extra, Lulu Baby, Marcy Ann, Noble Ron, what's up, brother? Helen Kayoma, hello. Terry, what's up? Chocolate Yoda, Elizabeth McClung, what's up? Ray Davis, hey, how you doing there? Grace Anthony, Sharon, Bob Yates, Smith James, Lois Hampson, hello. Amy B, Darrow with the Dashes, Truly Julie, Martin John Garcia, Topics with Mac, Anthony Thomas, hello brother, Cordero Gates, Jason B, Lynette Hernandez, Greg Dolan, Lindsay, May, McKay, Pretty Babe, Wandering Fool, and Sahi. Thanks for coming by, listening, passing through, and hanging out. And until next time, stay well.